the eugenics movement and Hitler's Holocaust and racism in general is a misreading of Darwin. Because what Darwin did was do away with what's called typology, where all Jews are the same, all black people are the same, all Asian people are the same, and replaced it with variation, where all humans exist together in a variable context. And so typology, which says everybody of that group can be treated the same way, is a misreading of Darwin. It's an incorrect interpretation of Darwin. And all of social Darwinism can pretty much be pinned on that misreading.
I would say that that's a scientist's point of view. I would be eager to read that point of view, and then I would say that there are other scientists who have a different point of view. I wouldn't claim to be educated on it enough to say,
Fine.
you know.
Those other scientists, however, are incorrect.
Well, that's, yeah.
Look, I think I've said about everything I have to say about all this. Anybody else have any other questions or comments they want to make to Mark, who has been good enough to stay here and answer all of these questions and not get back to his family in this time?
I had a couple, but if anybody else has any, I'll run over with the microphone.
Basically, just one comment, and I guess I don't want to bring back the whole Darwin and the Holocaust.
This is Phil Yam, by the way.
But, I mean, you can make the same argument with religion. I mean, without religion was insufficient but necessary for the conquistadors, for the Crusades, for 9/11. I mean, you can pretty much say that about anything.
Well, I think you could, when you look at societies, certainly you can misappropriate for any number of things. And certainly religion has been misappropriated to commit some horrific acts. But when you look at societies that embrace a materialist philosophy, you start stacking up some pretty big numbers. You start looking at Nazi Germany, Pol Pot, Stalin. These are some pretty weighty numbers on that side of the ledger. And so I think that certainly deserves consideration.
And overall, the religion is probably...
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I would not agree with that one.
Let me go somewhere else.
I actually agree with Mark on this. The statistical numbers for Stalin and Hitler versus the Crusade.
Yes, you had a couple of real overachievers in that area. There's no question.
We're blessed with wonderful technology.
That's right. Still,
Wonderful killing technology. I just wanted to bring up that the Dover trial is presented briefly in the film, and it's presented as a decision about science,
right,
when in fact the decision is about the First Amendment rights of people in the community not to have religion preferentially, a particular religious view, given a preferential standing in a public school classroom. Okay, just wanted to get that out.
So I have to go back to my original question. You're comfortable with the level of truthfulness as it presents the Dover trial?
The Dover trial, first of all, you want to start talking about integrity with the Dover trial?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you've got a judge who lays down a decision, 92.5%, something like that, of which is written by the ACLU. He didn't even do his own work. He just copied and pasted.
Where do you have this that the ACLU actually wrote the decision?
What the ACLU wrote was incorporated, copied and pasted directly into the decision.
Well, if that's true, and I don't know that's true, but I'll stipulate to you that it's true. I would argue that the judge, a conservative Republican appointed by George W. Bush,
you can roll that out all
was
you want.
convinced by those arguments and therefore went with them.
I've heard that argument rolled out many times, and there's certainly people on both sides of the political spectrum who lie in wait, who get appointed by a liberal gets appointed by a conservative gets appointed by a liberal. Look, this guy, anybody who is a as you portray him, a staunch George Bush appointed, he was conservative-minded, church-going guy.
But he was actually a liberal activist in disguise.
I'm saying when anybody who would fit that profile and then copy and paste, not even edit, not even put his own stuff, but copy and paste 92% of it. 92%.
Where do you get that statistic from? I'm honest, I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I would like to follow up on that.
Yeah.
So where do you have that statistic from?
I read this in Darwin Day in America by John West, a Discovery Institute fellow. He's got the data, and it's footnoted.
Because I have to
pages.
tell you, I covered the trial. I attended the trial.
Yeah. I
paid close attention to the transcripts of the trial.
Yeah.
The ACLU was not the primary prosecuting law firm, law body.
Well,
that was
you're going to know
Pepper Hamilton out of Philadelphia.
You're going to know much more about the trial than I am, since you're intimately involved and I was not. What I do know and my source for the information is John West's book Darwin Day in America.
Okay, well we'll check that out, because I got to tell you, I don't believe it.
Yeah, but actually, I have to say, this is all actually irrelevant to the presentation of the film of the Dover trial as it comes up in the film.
It was so brief, and it wasn't even hard. I mean, unless you were very familiar.
But I think here's the point, though, of how I think the film misuses it. What the quote is when. After the ACLU is shown, pointing out that it's very, was it ACLU or was it whoever was shown on film?
They showed who was, according to the Chiron, it was an ACLU attorney.
Okay, so
but the lead attorneys were Pepper Hamilton.
Okay, so there was an attorney shown who was saying that it had been a colossal waste of time to have had to have this trial because it pointed out something was already known. Ben was saying, I thought science was decided by evidence, not courts. Now here's the thing: what bothers me is that the way that this is used, it makes it sound as though the science of evolution was somehow being determined by a court case, as though this were some sort of some sort of communist state. We were deciding the science by official diktat. And yet that is not what the case was about. It's what Steve was talking about. The case was specifically about how the law with respect to certain First Amendment issues would be administered. It misuses the case. It misuses how the case is used.
I think this is a case that you're splitting some hairs here.
I'm not splitting hairs.
This whole trial was used as a mechanism by which anybody who favors an intelligent design perspective has been demeaned, and that's what it's been used as a tool to say the courts have ruled on this, and oh my goodness, a George Bush appointed guy.
What did the courts rule on in the case? What was the effect of that decision in that case? What did they rule in that case, since you said that's what they ruled on?
Well, what I'm telling you is it doesn't even matter. What matters is...
Do you really know?
What matters...
Tell me that you know.
That I know with the Dover case...
Yes, tell me what was determined in the Dover case so that I know when you are dismissing my arguments that I know what you're dismissing.
Okay. It's the ruling itself. Now, and also keep in mind before I answer this, you're talking to the associate producer who did not post-production put the film together.
No, but who was involved in all of the research about the film and making the arguments?
I was involved in doing interviews and setting up interviews.
Moments ago, you said you were comfortable with the state of truthfulness of the representation of the Dover trial in the film. So I'm just going back to the question of why you are so comfortable with that.
The Dover trial is as I had mentioned, this is something that is used. The ruling is used as a tool to say ID is not science.
What was the ruling, though?
Specifically, I can't lay it out for you. Now, what I could, as you said, that it had to do with this particular religious belief. And in the case of the Dover trial, it was not something that I believe represented what's going on in this nation as a whole, but that this was a very specific situation in Dover, Pennsylvania, where you had specific